Welcome to another story time with Sherrie, friends. We're glad you're here. Gather around for another story today. But before we start, I wanted to tell you about something I've been seeing outside a lot right now, and that's wildflowers. If you have a chance to take a walk, or if you're in your car and you're driving down the freeway, you might see some things on the side of the road or in different flower beds. We have some at our pond here, and those are wildflowers. We have lots of bluebonnets, some at our pond, some at one of our front doors. So the next time you're out and about, try to look for some of those things. I know you're staying home a lot now, we are too, but if you go for a little walk, check out the different bluebonnets that might be around your neighborhood. Today our book is about bluebonnets, and it's called The Legend of the Bluebonnet, and the author is Tomie dePaola. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang, tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought, save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums. And for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, Jay, Jay, Jay. She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, the shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plentiful and the people will be rich again. As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. The sun is setting, the runner called as he ran through the camp. The shaman is returning. The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. I have heard the words of the great spirits, he said. The people have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valuable possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people. The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. I'm sure it is not my new bow that the great spirits want, a warrior said. Or my special blanket, a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and to think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except She Who Is Alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. You, she said, looking at the doll, you are my most valuable possession. It is you that the great spirits want. And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept to wait. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep, except She Who Is Alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits have spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "Oh, great spirits," she who is alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It's the only thing I have from my family who died in this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it." Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and her grandfather, her mother and her father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger, and before she could change her mind, she thrust her doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who was alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning woke her. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. And every spring, the great spirits remembered the sacrifice of the little girl and filled the hills and valleys of the land, now called Texas, with beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. Did you know bluebonnets are the state flower of Texas? I bet some of you already knew that. Well, we're glad that you joined us today. We hope you can join us again real soon. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.